Tiger fans, welcome to episode 44 of the official Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club podcast, bringing you all the latest news, updates, and buzz surrounding your mighty JSU Tigers. I am the Corey C. Be sure to download and subscribe to the podcast to be notified of every new episode. Apple users, rate and review the show, and everyone, follow Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club on Facebook and Tiger Talk 1400 on Twitter. It all helps the cause, which is the I love Jackson State University. Hosting the show with me today is Terrell Key. What up, Key?
What's happening? What's happening, Corey? Man, I'm glad to be here, man. Thanks for having me on, man. I'm excited about this, man. I've been waiting on this all week long, man. My excitement has built up. Hopefully I can get this excitement out like right now.
Oh yeah, I can already feel it, man. I can already feel it. Let's do this, man. We have a special guest today, man. We started this podcast a few months ago. Didn't really know what to expect, but I mean, obviously with the platform that we have for Jackson State, it's something exciting and just kind of shows the direction of the podcast as far as the caliber of guests we have based on who we have today. He really needs no introduction, but he is the manager, co-CEO of the Blueprint Group, executive producer, and COO of Young Money Entertainment. He is a Sonic Boom of the South and Jackson State University alumnus, so he is the I Love family, none other than Cortez Bryant. What up, Tez?
What's up? What's good, man? I'm here.
Brother.
Yes, sir.
We do it. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Man, we want to thank you for coming on, man. We know a million things you could be doing, but you're spending it with the JSU family, so we appreciate it.
I appreciate y'all having me, bro. I'm always open to the conversations with my family, especially my DI Love family. This is always. And I treat this like an escape from, the work and the daily ins and outs I have to do every day. So It's a pleasure to be on with you guys, bro.
Man, Jackson State has been great to us, man. And meeting Cortez and just being able to interact with him and connect with him from years gone by, man. So like this moment right here is so great to me, So man, just major shout out to Cortez for real, man, and our friendship because we've been friends for a long time.
Yes, sir.
No
Absolutely.
Doubt. Mm-hmm. Cortez, what are you up to these days, man?
Man, I've been quarantining in the house, really trying to pivot, man. In the music business, it's one of those industries where, at least music management, is one of those industries that kind of take a big hit because, managers paid off a commission and an artist's biggest source of revenue is concerts and touring. So you got basically all the money that you was used to making, came to a halt. So I've been in the position as far as work, to just try to pivot for survival, make sure all my employees stay employed to get through this COVID crisis. And then, a whole different activation of social responsibility came out here for me. So I'm doing a lot of things in that space, including creating a new company that was kind of brought up out of the need for equality.
Wow.
That's what's up.
Wow.
Man.
Y'all think like I said something big. Y'all crazy, man.
Wait a minute. No, that was big. Like, most people say, yeah, man, I'm just sitting around just trying to
chill
day to day. Yeah.
But
gaining weight, putting on some pounds.
Yeah.
I'm doing that too, man.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Yeah, that's the layer of that. Yeah, absolutely. Also gaining weight, putting on pounds, cooking more, being a father. Those other things we're trying to figure out at the same time. Absolutely.
Right.
Okay. So, Tiz, you mentioned being a father, and so I want to say congrats on the new baby boy. I know I've told you this before, but, you can never run out of congrats to somebody. So let me ask you this, man. So how's fatherhood treating you? Like, I know life is busy because, you know, I have 2 boys myself, and no sleep. You don't get sleep, you know. So how's fatherhood for you in balancing, like, dad life with work life?
It's been the best thing that's come out of this whole Corona crisis. You know, I travel a lot with work. You know, this is probably the longest I've ever been in one place in 16 years.
Wow.
Just sitting still. So it was a blessing. You know, the Corona, a blessing came out of Corona for me because I was able to sit still and catch these first couple months. He's made 4 months a couple of days ago. So, you know, and it's been great. It's definitely been a learning curve for me. You know what I'm saying? Getting peed on and pooped on it early on. I think he told me that. And then just figuring things out, bro, because I don't know what I'm doing, and my mom and my girl's mom, they haven't had kids since 30, 40 years, so you know, so we really out here just winging it, you know. So,
there you go. That's the beauty of it, learn on the fly.
Yeah, but all the you know, all the moments, like, I be excited and pumped by all moments. Like last week, I taught him how to hold his bottle. Right, I was psyched up about that. Because I'm on night duty, so I just trying to figure out all things I do at night. You know what I'm saying? I get all the night. I don't sleep. You're right, Sherelle, I don't sleep, bro. But I'm on night duty, and I told him about to hold the bottle. Man, I was like fist pumping, like, yeah, you doing that. They say 5 months. You doing that in 3. You doing that in 3 months, son. Like,
listen, Cortez, man, celebrate the small victories, dog. Any victory is a victory, no matter how big it is or how small it is. Holding the bottle, that is major, because that's one less thing you have to do.
The fatherhood been great, dog. I mean, definitely, you know, I didn't know what to expect, and everything has been way more than what I could ever have expected, though.
You know, it's crazy. You said something earlier. You said that the whole pandemic, it came at like the right time. You know, there's nothing positive about it, but I mean, finding the positiveness out of it. You found that, like, you know, I know with your business, you're gone all the time or you're traveling, so it's like right at the right moment. You were able to spend the most pivotal, the most important parts of your child's life, like the early stages. You're there. You're right there. Like you're right there in it. You're not missing a poop or anything. It's all there. You're there. It's perfect.
Yeah, bro. Cause I mean, before it, I didn't know what to expect. Cause I kind of shut everything down at the top of January, and I was just trying to figure out. I was like, damn, man, I don't know. When in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, when could I leave? When I'm going to be able to leave? Because, like I said, I didn't know what kind of journey I was about to embark on. So, you know, I was really struggling with that. When's the right time to leave? Kind of asking my peers that's in the business with kids, you know, and all of them had different times, and then their wives or significant others are different type people too. So some of them wasn't playing it at all, and some of them, you know, was more lenient and understanding. So, you know, I was dreading that day when I was going to have to walk away and leave. So I'm glad that that good thing came out of COVID.
Gotcha. Speaking of this whole pandemic and this whole COVID stuff, man. So, how has this pandemic like affected your daily life and running your business? Like, what challenges have you encountered?
I've had to, with running the business, the management business, I had to figure out other ways to generate income, and be creative, you know, and be creative and do kind of creative things to kind of, bring some more money to the table, right? It's definitely been challenging. I'm not gonna sit up here and lie and say it hasn't been challenging. It's been challenging. Like I take pay cuts and what I pay myself on salary, and my highest employees had to take cuts. in order to kind of sustain, because like I was saying earlier, like 90% of the revenue coming into the company just halted, and we had cash reserves to kind of sustain us, but when it was just like the concert business not coming back to 2021, me and my partners had to take a look at it. It was just like, bro, we're not going to make it. We ain't going to make it to 2021. We don't have cash flow like that, you know what I'm saying? Our overhead and expenses of with healthcare and all those other things for our employees are upwards of $200,000 a month. So
wow.
So it was about trying to figure out how to make that up, you know what I'm saying, and try to keep our employees paid. So the federal government, that PPP loan kicked in and helped out a lot. Mm-hmm. So the government programs that they've had has assisted us in a way to help that along and kind of put a Band-Aid on it to kick us down the road, and we end up figuring, like I said, out, closing some deals early, you know what I'm saying? There was some things boiling for Lil Nas X that was kind of big that kind of came through. So, God just put it in place to where as though we got our life wrapped. So I'm not as stressed about that, and it allowed me to. So I kind of sustained that right now, and it allowed me to kind of shift energy to a lot of other things that's been on my heart with social activism.
Right. Definitely, yeah, and I definitely see you active in that on social media, man. So, keep it up. Great job, as I told you. I caught you on Instagram Live yesterday as well. So, you continue using your platform to do what you do, man. That's huge, brother.
I'm trying, dog. I'm trying. That's a whole nother chapter that God's putting on my heart right now. So I'm trying to navigate through it and kind of just jump out there and see where it goes. I know it's going to be done in the spirit of good, and it definitely, I've always been that type of person to be giving and wanting to see our people on an equal playing field to our white counterparts. I think Jackson State instilled a lot of that in me. So it's definitely become active since I moved back to Atlanta like 4 or 5 years ago.
Definitely. And we definitely want to get into what all Jackson State instilled in you. But first, let's take it back to New Orleans. Let's go back to the NO in your early days. How did you first get into music? What was it like growing up as a musician?
You know what? I really didn't know that music was gonna be like my calling or thing at all, bro.
Wow, really?
Nah, not at all. Like I was at high school. I was in a school called McMain in New Orleans, and I had probably did every extracurricular activity there is. Like every sport, ran track, played football for a little while, basketball. Like I kind of did everything, and it was at a point. And I took like the concert band elective at school because it was an easy A. So that was sort of my entry level of why I even got there. You know what I'm saying? And then and I was like, I'm not gonna play no horn. I don't know how to play no horn. So I was like, I'm gonna beat a drum. So shit, let me just figure that out. I was like, I'm pretty sure I can beat this drum to get an easy A. So that was the spirit of actually me getting into band, bro. But I started, but in New Orleans, the band culture is like a sport itself. So once I got kind of in that world, it kind of it brought me in all the way. and we didn't have a marching band in my school at the time. We only had a concert symphonic band at our school. So me and a couple of my homies, we started a petition just to start a marching band at our school, and we turned around. This might have been my junior year of high school. We started it, I was there in the drum major my senior year, then I just quickly got like gravitated to that world of marching bands. That same year we started the band was the first year I saw Jackson State, because I only knew Southern and Grambling growing up. We weren't exposed to a lot of things outside. We didn't have the internet, so we weren't exposed. We was only exposed to the people, Bayou Classic and the colleges that kind of came through. It wasn't too many people. We might have had a few people that went to Texas Southern from New Orleans, but we didn't have a lot of Jackson State folks like in the city. And they came and did a battle of the bands, and I was just like, oh shit, look at the bass drum, look at how they turning them damn drum. What is this? So, but it was dope, man. And one of my homeboys from my neighborhood, Sylvester Morris, he played football for Jackson State, ended up getting drafted.
First round draft pick.
Yeah, right. So that was from I knew of him going to Jackson State, you know what I'm saying? And I was just like, at the time, I was undecided, and I was actually probably about to go to Southern University. Did not revoke my boom card. Nobody got
wait a minute.
I can edit that part out. Don't worry. I can edit that part out of the show.
Leave that in. Leave that in. We need to know that.
I don't think nobody ever told you that. I was going to Southern Band. They didn't have any housing on campus, and my mom couldn't afford to commute. I couldn't afford to commute to no goddamn. I had no car, no shit like that. I couldn't afford to commute from Baton Rouge to New Orleans. So I was like, I got to find other options because I got to go to school, you know what I'm saying? And this was August, bro. This was like late July, like 2 weeks before band camp. So I remember Jack State had sent me a letter, had sent me an offer in the mail. So I was like, Mom, let's just, let me go here and see what this is about. Not knowing anything, bro. Just seeing them at that one time and kind of applying based off of that one time me seeing them, thought it was dope. But it was like I said, we grew up on Southern and Grambling. And Southern was clearly the better band than Grambling, you know what I'm saying? So
I'll give them that.
From New Orleans to go there. So, but I signed. I accepted the Jackson State offer, bro, and 2 weeks later I was at Jackson State, and this kind of was history, man. From there, and that kind of started my journey, bro. And as I look back forward for the music business, and I now that I can look at my life all these years later, I can see how my steps were ordered and how those things were supposed to happen, because a lot of the fundamentals I took from the band and being in the boom and I use in my everyday career. I'd be long-winded with these answers too, y'all. So
no, you good. So we're just talking. You good? So that information is great information. Like, I'm actually learning stuff, and I thought I knew everything about you. I don't. Let's go back to this Southern part. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just.
I've never said that.
I always wondered that though. I did wonder how a kid from New Orleans ended up at Jackson State. So I'm glad you put that out.
But look. After me, like I started. I take credit for this shit too, because I started, a big thing. Like when I went to Jackson State, I started bringing those tapes home to New Orleans to expose people to New Orleans. So then we got the Kevin Johnsons, who's a director now, who went to my high school. I was bringing them tapes right back, and we had Ricardo Emilian, who also went to my high school. We had some great players come through Jackson State through me bringing them tapes back. Like them tapes I was bringing from my years at Jackson State, so I started circulating around the city, to get exposure, because we didn't have that exposure, So we had a surge of New Orleans people started coming to the band when it was like it was few when I was there, like few.
And I remember that. Like you're take all the credit, brother. You are the reason why a lot of people from New Orleans decided to come to Jackson State. Hats off to you. Like I remember, Corey, I remember being in the band. I marched with Cortez, and I remember when Kevin and Ricardo that he spoke of, I remember when they both came over, and they were magnificent players, even to this day. Kevin, I don't want to get too far off. Kevin played the same instrument that I play. We both play French horn and mellophone. And when Kevin came to Jackson State, I kind of got nervous because he was a great player, and he made me step my game up. Even as a freshman, when he was a freshman and I was a junior, when he came in, I think I was a junior, or was it 2000? Yeah, I was a junior. Yeah. I was a junior. When Kevin came in, I had to step my game up. Like, oh, this guy here is pretty good. Let me start practicing a little bit more because I cannot be outdone by a freshman. So yeah, I remember that. I remember that. Wow, that's amazing. So Ted, I personally remember you working on the band staff as a videographer. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep, I did a lot, man. Doc helped me out a lot, man. He gave me all kind of jobs to keep me on scholarship. I love Dr. Liddell, bro.
Oh my gosh, man. We could do a whole podcast on Dr. Liddell alone, just because of all of the things, right? So Ted,
we might need to get him on there, Corey. Yeah, y'all need to get.
Let's call him right now.
We have to.
Let's call him right now. No, we can't do that.
We'll Ted, we'll bring you back on.
What was it? Right, Ted, what was it that inspired you or transitioned you from being on the band staff to whatever that next level was, and what was that next level?
You talk about for his life from the band staff to, the band staff, especially like 03, in 03 was when those first couple years after I graduated, I was a mass comm major. So I told Doc,
mass comm, shout out to mass comm.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely. So that's what kind of got me into the videographer part, just trying to get practice and get some things from a resume tape to put together on my way to graduation, and Doc respected that and kept me on scholarship and kind of let me do that, And in 2003, when Joe Ringo, one of these band directors we had, went missing or fired or something. I don't know what the hell happened to him. He kind of disappeared, and he did.
Oh, gosh, I'm laughing because this is a moment right now that, like, I can't help but to laugh because I remember all of this stuff. But, okay, keep going. So, Joe Ringo, keep going.
So in 03, right before I graduated, this was my last year before I actually graduated, before I finally got out of there, Doc, he wanted to bring back, I guess, the percussion section, man, was taking some hits, and we had got down to like few people. It wasn't what WT was about, and he wanted to instill the old spirit of WT, get the numbers back up in the section. So he wanted myself and some of my other brothers, Herman and Boosie, to be the percussion instructors that year, to get the numbers back up. So that role in itself definitely, catapulted to, outside of just being the section leader, while I was in the band, being in that leadership role at that level, what I'm saying? I couldn't do the things I was doing just looking at it as a student. I had to look at things from a different perspective, kind of helped me because right after that, I jumped into music management, literally like January. After the fall season, that January, I became Wayne's manager. And it kind of prepared me for that role, what I'm saying? I automatically got put in a place where I was the leader, the CEO, the think tank, and have to come up with strategies, ideas, and having to oversee people and bring them together. So, a lot of that comes from the Boom, and especially that last position that Doc gave me while I was in the Boom.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. So I want to hear some Boom stories from both of y'all. Now, I know we can do a whole nother show on this episode in itself. So let's keep it short for now, and then we'll come back another time, and we'll just really go in. But let's hear those stories. Something that you can share on the podcast, now.
Ted, you go first.
Let me think. Okay, I guess I'll start freshman year, right? Coming into the band, I mean, I've met my best friends to this day. I mean, all of us, I have great friends and brothers, you know what I'm saying? But I'm really, I nurtured a relationship with two guys that we became more closer probably than anyone, you know what I'm saying? Jerome Forrest and Michael Morris, Black and Cowboy, with a lot of people in the band world and who was on the yard with us know them by. We kind of met that first, especially me and Black. We met that first day of band camp, right? And it's funny what it's an amazing thing what Boom Family means. You know what I'm saying, to this day, and how we still stick tight and still have these relationships all these years later. Like, it's really legit a real extended family, bro. And one of the highlights of my freshman year, coming in. So when I came in, they put me on cymbals because I knew how to play. Cymbals is a big thing in New Orleans. The cymbal culture is a big thing in New Orleans, and it wasn't there yet in Jackson. It was only a couple other schools. Like, you see people twirling and flipping these cymbals now that were kind of doing that heavily. And that was probably like Southern Grambling and Texas Southern. It started in New Orleans, so those schools who had an extension of New Orleans students, that culture kind of spread it there. And it wasn't all the way there at Jackson State. They had, like, these guys came 2 years before me, Alpha Celestine, and call him S.A., kind of put it on, kind of brought it there. But within the 2 years that he was there and I came, like, it had evolved even more in the city of New Orleans. So long story short, when I got there, I was already advanced. I was advanced on that instrument way more than anyone any of my crab brothers. But the thing about being in my section, and the philosophy of my section, War and Thunder, is you're only strong as your weakest link, right? So they made sure they drilled in my head. Like, if I don't care how good you are, if I don't see, improvement in your crab brothers, ones who came in with me, that was on my instrument, then you're not marching in the game, like that. Literally, like, and coming from me, because Black helped me out a lot, because the series that we played with all the Jack State fans here, that when we come in the stands, the percussion cadence is called the series. It was 27 minutes long. We had nothing like that in New Orleans. I never memorized anything 27 minutes long. So although Black had never played cymbals a day in his life, like, he helped me stay up every night, all night, trying to figure out how to. I was a good player, but I was not familiar with these cadences that Jack State had. So he'll stay up all night, helping me figure out. We was putting numbers to things, like, help me memorize this 27-minute long cadence, but he still couldn't march and play at the same. So he had dynamic issues that he couldn't get together, you know what I'm saying? So he didn't march for a couple games, but I had to make sure, as he was helping me, the philosophy of, like I said, our section is working together. I had to make sure that he was improving. So the highlight, and probably the most rewarding, best part of my freshman year, was the first game he was able to march. And it probably was like the Southern game, I believe. So it was probably like 6-7 games in that he finally made it and was able to get a spot and march in the game. It was like the most rewarding feeling. And what I learned the most, from that is one thing, we established a lifelong bond, right? Just off of helping each other out. But that philosophy of you're only strong as your weakest link is a philosophy that I've used all through life, you know what I'm saying? So that one Boom story, like, that's like a Boom moment and teaching moment that was great and was very much so rewarding. It was probably my happiest day of my freshman year, when my brother was able to march next to me. We had worked together to a point to where we got him there. But it was also a teaching moment that was able to take me all through life. Yeah.
Man. So Corey, listening to what Cortez just said, like, I've experienced the exact same things, and a lot of people that have come through the boom have experienced some of the exact same stories, and maybe a little bit different, but pretty much the same type of stories. And man, when you ask anybody that was in the boom or was a part of the boom, they have some magnificent story like the one that Cortez just shared. Like, I'm sitting here listening to this story like, I didn't know that, because Cortez is a year ahead of me. So his freshman year, I wasn't there yet. So he had an experience that I had nothing about. Like, I knew bits and pieces of that story, but listening to that story is like, I think a tear just fell out of my eye, but I don't want to admit that, but I think it did, kind of, sort of, I think my eyeball was sweating, but that's a magnificent story. So, I have like several stories, but I'm not going to go into all of my several stories. Like, I have so many moments that just pop into my head, Corey, to be honest with you, like right now to this day, like Cortez was able to like recall that story. Man, I have so many stories that I can recall. One thing that I can recall, I want to say it was the fall of 2000. I could be wrong. Cortez, correct me if I'm wrong. We played Alcorn, and it was very, very cold. And I think it may have been like 3 below zero. I'm exaggerating, but it was very, very cold. And we went out there freezing cold and performed. People in the stands with blankets on, and it was raining to add insult to injury. It was raining, so it was raining and cold. We were sitting on the bus. The football team was playing, and Doc came on the bus and said, "All right, let's go. We're going out. Let's do it." Everybody looked around like, "Going where? What do you mean out there? Like, it's too cold." So we get out there, we get on that field, and of course, when you start playing, your blood gets to flowing in your body, then your body warms up. But as soon as we exited the field, that blood stopped flowing. We weren't warm anymore. It was cold again. So that's one story that I can recall. Another story I recall, my first time going to Chicago ever was with the Funny Boom of the South. We played.
That was 01? Was that 01?
It was 01. It was 01.
Yeah,
it was 01. We played, did we play Howard? Who did we play?
That was Howard.
Was it Howard?
Howard,
Howard, right?
It was Howard in 01. I think we won. Yeah, that was Howard.
Right.
In 01.
That was Howard, right? So we went to Chicago.
That's when T.C. Taylor took over as quarterback. It was his first start.
Mm-hmm. Right. So that was an experience for me because I had never gone to Chicago. I had never flown on a plane before, ever in life. So a lot of first-time experiences a lot of people got from being a part of the Sunny Boom of the South, or just being in the band program, period, whether it was symphonic band, orchestra, brass quintet, concert band, marching band. I mean, there's so many different levels of, levels that you could be a part of when it comes to the music program. But just being a part of the boom, when people say it changed their lives, I mean, that's like a real live statement. So those are my two. I just want to just give two because I know I could go on and on. I know Cortez probably got 15 more he could share.
I definitely want to do some boom shows where we get some of y'all together and just y'all can just talk about those stories and relive them because I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, we had some good times, bro. Absolutely, man.
I think that was 2000 though. That was 2000 in Chicago. I'm getting the years mixed up, but it was around that time though. But I remember that game. But one of the perks of being in the band. Of course, I wasn't in the band, but one of the perks to me was being able to go to all the football games. I know that may not apply to everybody, but I'm a big fan. So I got a chance to go to every game. And back then we had some explosive teams. Of course, we had Sylvester Morris, like you said. Then Robert Kent came along. So, Tez, what do you remember about those game days? What was the atmosphere like?
Man, I think the biggest game day I can remember was 99. 99. It was Southern game, right? I'm saying man, that year was just a football year. Was a great year. It was so packed in Memorial, like there was no seats. Like I remember because my mom and them used to come up from New Orleans, and my friends would come up from New Orleans for the Southern game. We played Southern in Memorial that year, and they was standing on the hill, like at the bottom in the end zone, because there was no room, period, in the entire stadium, dog. So that's how many people it was. You know what I'm saying? I can just remember marching in that year. It was like, man, this is crazy. Because my mom, right before the game, she was able to let me know that, basically there wasn't no standing room, so I wasn't gonna see her nowhere. So I kind of was anticipating it, but when I saw it, it was crazy, bro. So I just remember that year when we played. I don't know if we won, but I know we met them again. That was the first year of the SWAC championship, right? And we met him again at Kicker Bryant. Kicker Bryant missed that kick. I remember that. I remember that like yesterday. But I know those games were like intense, man, because we had like the best teams. I remember the '98 game in Southern when we played them and they cut the clock off on us with like 10 seconds left, bro. We had like a 99.999% red zone efficiency rate. Right, and I think we might have been down 4 or something like that, and we on the 1-2 yard line. That's when Destry probably was still there. I know we had a dope running back that was like automatic, And I remember them boys lining up, and you just heard pop, and the game was over. It was over. They just died on the field crying out. So those games was like super dope. I tell everybody like that SWAC. Going to a SWAC game is like no other. If I didn't have the privilege of going to seeing anything else until maybe a couple years ago, I've been to some SEC games, LSU and Alabama and Tennessee. I've been in all these stadiums now because my girl's family is they all went to SEC schools. So I was able to travel and see the difference. But and even though the people there is like no other in those games. The spirit of the atmosphere of fun with the band, and you know what I'm saying. You see the fraternities down, you see the signals y'all down there in the end zone, stepping. You know what I'm saying. You get everything. You get a experience that's unlike any other. And that's me tapping into now going to other major PWIs. Games to really see the difference.
So that's good. So you're able to compare. So we're like our Memorial Stadium is like that's our home. That's where we we look forward to marching in. We look forward to hitting the ramp. But so tell me, other than Memorial Stadium, so we visited several stadiums. What has been your favorite stadium to play at? So I'll tell you what mine was. Mine has been the Liberty Bowl in Memphis, Tennessee. Of course, I live in Memphis now, but I really enjoyed the Liberty Bowl. I just liked the way that it was shaped, just like it's all connected. So, what was your favorite stadium to play in? The favorite away stadium to play in?
I think it was I like head to head, bro. I hate that damn stat. That's why I love Memorial. You know what I'm saying? There's no running for us in the band, for us, our band world. There's no running. You head to head, you face to face. So I like all stadiums, that we get it in like that. So I think, believe it, even though we always massacred them, I think Graham was like that. With that weird marching down into that bowl stadium, but it was just head to head, you know what I'm saying? Like it was 1-on-1. I didn't get to play in Alcorn. I think we still had Capital City Classic all those years we watched. So I didn't get to play in their stadium, you know what I'm saying, to kind of experience that. But I like the stadiums where, we face to face and there's really no running. I hated Southern for them putting us in that corner and
oh my gosh.
And all the way in the corner and running from some whoopings that they ran from in some years. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so it probably was Graham, even though the competition wasn't that. Like I don't know what it is about Graham, bro. Why because you know what's the funny thing? Being from New Orleans, and even those years that we were in the band, Terrell. Bro, like we would play them and just annihilate them on the band side of things, and I see them Bayou Classic, and they have a whole different band. Like I was like,
man, I thought I was
the same band. by the end
I
of the
thought
year,
I was the only one that thought that, man. I can't believe you just said that. I agree.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
By the end of the year, Grambling have a whole different band, bro, and we really give them the business every year. I think they just take it the worst from us for some reason.
I believe they called some old members back, and
oh yeah, they did used to do that. They did used to do that. That's
wow.
They did used to do that.
That's crazy.
Shame on them. But that's Grambling. That's Grambling for you, though. I'm that's Grambling. That's what they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chainz, I want to take it back to something that you touched on earlier, in terms of being in the boom. What life skills or principles did being in the boom instill in you, and how did it prepare you for life after college?
I mean, the biggest life skill is probably leadership. That's the biggest one. You know what I'm saying? Understanding that and what it also gave me was Jackson State as a whole, but especially the boom, because we had people from all different places in the sonic boom, right? So in the music business, I automatically had to jump in and learn to deal with different cultures, different people. Before I got to the band, when I was in New Orleans, I was just in Shell. So that immediately, opened my horizons up to learn how to interact with people who might not have been, who had different cultures and may have been different from me, and able to communicate and work within a group that was diverse. You know what I'm saying? So I think both of those skills kind of transcended to my companies that I have now. How I run my company is how the percussion section is ran within the boom, where kind of we have our leaders, we have our section leaders, but everyone has a say so in the band. So it's family style ran my company. So a whole lot of things, a whole lot of lessons came from that. My confidence, bro. I mean, going to an HBCU, I think this is outside of Jackson State. Just going to an HBCU, people always ask me, why HBCU, or what do you think the difference is in going to HBCU and PWI? I think we purposefully, when we get on the yard, know that we're on the shoulders of our ancestors, and we're in a place where we're celebrated to be black. We got our culture that's rich there, and that instills confidence in a person. If I'm jumping out in the world, I'm coming from a place where I'm confident in, that what and understanding the history and the culture of universities like other HBCUs, where people that came from our type of schools are very successful, has done well and really making change in this world, So that's a big confidence boost I had coming in, knowing and wearing Jackson State proud. That's why I still, it's always when I'm out here, even when I'm debating amongst, our HBCU peers, it's still HBCU love, but even debating against each other, like that spirit of loving our university and what it instilled in me kind of helped me tap into a place when I didn't know nothing about the music business, right? I didn't know anything. So tap into all those skill sets that I've learned from the sonic boom and just being on the yard. All those things, when it came to figuring out the music business, those instincts automatically kicked in and helped me survive and navigate those first couple years till I got my flow and really figured out, what the music business was.